Sending in your questions via 22422, hashtag Newsnight, and I'm going to pose some questions to the CSs who are here with us in studio. CS Water, Alice Wahome, and CS Agriculture, Mithika Linturi. CS Wahome, let me start with you. And a viewer wants to know, the president has spoken of constructing 100 dams. And I think you've reiterated that as well when you are being vetted. But we've had this before. Late President Kibaki promised at least 22 dams under Vision 2030. Jubilee promised to complete at least 57 dams as well. But for some reason, these projects either stall or are never really useful after construction. Tell me this, yes, why should Kenyans now trust the Kenya Kwanza promise to construct dams that will be useful in 2022?
So, Wahika, before I go to that, please excuse me, allow me to just, the intervention, you know, you had asked for intervention, you had said you would want details.
Okay.
I think I want to say that, you know, we work with the waterworks agencies, you know, the North Water, we have mobilized several, for now, we are mobilizing all the water development agencies to help in response to the drought situation. And so far, we have the North Waterworks Development Agency has mobilized 23,000 cubic meters of water. I would say also the Coast Waterworks is also mobilized, and they are supplying Garissa, Ramu, all these areas that we are looking at, Kitui, Makueni,
so they're taking Bowsers to...
So they are taking Bowsers, and the total water, which we so far we have supplied, is 57,354 cubic meters. We've also supplied about 500 tanks, storage tanks, and these go to the areas where people, many times animals and people go looking for water. There are those points that are there. We've also supplied about a total of we have rehabilitated about 45 water resource areas. I think the number is more. We'll have to accelerate this and put more resource into it.
Okay.
But also we have supplied about 140,000 liters of fuel to those areas where the resource is being, the water pumps, so that they can be able to pump. Some are just lying idle because we don't have fuel. Or they don't have
how sustainable
fuel.
Are those interventions?
All these things are short-term, very short-term to respond to the drought situation. They are not sustainable. And the long-term solution, like the community being supported to manage their own water resource or water source. You asked about dams. We had said the previous regime would be doing 22 dams, and I know he needs the dams himself to be able to, although irrigation is under us, we are working closely because there is support systems that we need, and he will also need water from us. We are not going to do 22 dams. We are planning to do 100 dams.
Yes, 100 dams is the promise.
That's the promise by His Excellency the President. Instructions have been given. We are mapping out, because there are many areas that we can do dams. There will be mega dams, that's between 5 billion and maybe 15 billion shillings. Those are mega dams. We'll also have medium-sized dams, which will be maybe between 200 and 500 million, and then 100 million below dams, which are quicker and faster, and including water pans, which maybe will cost about 20, 30, 40 million shillings. And those are things that dams or pans that actually or can be supported even by the people. But the rest, of course, we will be engaging also private partnerships, because you have also heard that we will do that in big numbers, PPPs.
The teams that proposed these dams, did they assess what ailed the construction of dams in the past? I know of 3 dams, Badasa, Chemususu, Uma dams, who back in 2020 were told their construction costs went up from 7.3 billion to 9 billion because of a design flaw.
All those things are are recorded. So we will be working with that information and knowledge. There is also the tendency of laxity in terms of implementing within the time. Sometimes because of maybe games by the contractors, that will have to stop, because sometimes when you delay and you use excuses that are not even captured within the contracts, so that you can have your contract maybe varied, all those manner of behaviors will have to stop. But the key thing or reason why we were not able to do this, one, I think there was a lot of lack of focus. You know, we went to do other many things, and I don't want to go that you know. I think
yes, you're now the CS Water, so we want to hear.
Yeah,
from
but
you.
You see, you asked me about the previous. I could say that we got misdirected.
But
now we are here. Yes. Even during Kibaki regime, because if you don't focus, if you don't look for the funds, you will not do it. These dams, we will partner with the private entities. That is one thing that we are introducing in a big way. And there are so many people who are interested. Companies are interested. Investors are interested in doing it. They are knocking doors. And we are willing to engage. They have indicated that funds are available. And so we are working on the documentation because we need proper mechanisms to handle that, because it's basically, although we have the law, we haven't utilized this particular perspective very well.
Okay, let me allow CS Linturi to jump in. He's been waiting patiently. CS, the call out there is, and today President Ruto spoke of 2 billion from government, 10 billion from the donor community. How exactly is that money going to be utilized?
Before I answer to that question, let me support the position taken by my sister to provide on a lasting solution to providing water. Because what we require in this country is water. Our reliance on very different agriculture has completely let us down. So if everybody else that has some little money, to invest, then the best area to invest now is the provision of water. Because what we are saying is that come build dam, then let us give you water purchase agreements, and then you'll be able to recover your money over time, just like the power agreements that were done for provision of power, and we ended up producing more power. So with enough water, I am sure would have made life easier. And that way, you know, as government, because we do not have unlimited resources and our priorities are many, so that invitation from government to get in people to come and invest is the just and the sure way, and I'm sure this will be achieved within the first 3 years, because it is not government money that is being put in. And when you do it, then you will sell water. So we'll be able to get a lasting solution. And when I have water as the Minister of Agriculture, then I will be able to put many people into farming, and then we'll be able to give people food. The only problem or issues that I'm being grappling with or to deal with is how to manage post-election losses that arise due to failure to manage our produce properly. So you've raised the issue of the 2 billion shillings. Government has committed 2 billion. You've had there is a funds drive in terms of trying to mobilize resources.
Is that the Pamoja initiative or something?
No, I'm saying funds drive in the sense that we are appealing to donors and any other partners that to come and give this humanitarian aid to the country, because when we look at the things here, then it really deserves human intervention. So, and I believe there is sufficient goodwill and people will be coming in. In fact, I would also want to hand and say, you know, some of our Kenyans are so blessed to the extent that you shouldn't really wait there and see our people dying. If we were to call upon our Kenyans that have some bit of resources here and there, please, changia, give us some little money towards alleviating the problems that our people have. And including, even if you are not able to give money in cash, those people that are contractors and have water boosters at home, packed there, please get some water. Get some water and try to assist. From a pro bono basis point of view, and I want to say, Maura, when the drought was very bad in the Gambia side of North, in those months of July, we used to give people water for free in schools because children were closing. So I believe if we are to really invite our wealthy citizens, our people of goodwill, raising 10 billion is not really so much money.
What will the money be used for specifically? Help Kenyans understand this as you call them to give. Because in the past, the other initiatives where Kenyans were called to give, and later on questions were raised about the exact expenditure. What are the exact needs from a financial perspective tonight, CS?
But let me not address the aspect of issues to do with the finance. I will address the aspects of how that money can be best used to alleviate the problem that we have.
Okay.
The problem that we have as a country right now, regardless of where the money is coming from, and this because it's money we're asking people really to bring in and support the alleviation of the problems that the livestock farmers, the common, our general population has, is food, is provision of water, as Wahome is saying, is a provision of pasture or food for our own animals so that they do not die. So anything that comes right now, I think, the best way to put that money into use is not to go and start putting irrigation schemes. No, it's address the immediate concern of the common livestock farmer in Kajiado, where I was today. And his business is how do we get pasture to feed his cow? How do we give them supplements? How do we buy most of their cows so that they do not die? So how do we increase the kitty that we give to Kenya Meat Commission to continue with the off-take program? In my view, that is the immediate problem that we really need to deal with and to address. And hopefully, when the rain comes, and when I was there and I told them we'll pray and rain will come, is that immediately that when there is rain and these animals are able to feed and get pasture, then we can get into the medium-term discussions on how to deal with the problems so that we can get organized for the future.
Okay.
We really need to appreciate that we have an administration that is listening, that is willing to engage everybody, and that is out there to address the problems that we have. Because when you look at the history, just like I started saying, when you get to look from where we are to where we have come from, then there are certain things that were not done right, and with things that we must be corrected. Our priorities were upside down. If we were to ask questions today, you will find that what we are seeing today is the cause of most of the major problems.
But one would say that we've been flagging relief food from 1960s to date. So are you telling us successive governments have never had their priorities? Previous governments,
most of our priorities have been upside down. Because from where I see it, I would even want to ask a very common question. What is a priority? Do an expressway to cost 63 billion,
okay,
or do a 5 water dams that can feed people?
But to be fair, as media, we have covered the relief food flagging off from State House for many, many years, CS. But I get your point on that. CS Wahome, the Department of Irrigation also falls within your docket. One of the long-term measures is to increase our irrigation across the country. Is it one of your plans to revive big irrigation projects? For example, the Galana Kulalu irrigation project, and how would you do it differently?
Now, some of the money that you are talking about will be used to rehabilitate existing ponds and then have additional ponds. The digging or development of small ponds is a very quick job, a month, or some can be done in 1 week, 2 weeks. So that will be one of the things. Rehabilitate existing boreholes and additional boreholes. You know, I hear you can have a borehole in 2 days and then provide maybe temporary storage of water. And of course, there will be medication, because with this kind of situation, you need medication for children and people because they are weak. Food supplements, which is not necessarily food, but food and food supplements, and buying of the animals, like Mithika Linturi has said. Your question is, what shall we do in the long term because of irrigation?
Yes.
You know, largely, when you count the total number of acreage that we have been able to do as government, it's about 350,000 acres. That you can see, all this period, we have been talking about irrigation. 350,000 acres are very few. Including when you include where we have been able then to support smallholder farmers here and there, individual farmers, then you get to about 750,000. And our target within the next 5 years is to at least hit 1.8 million acres. If we get good support in terms of investors coming into this area the way we are marketing it, we could do up to 3 million acres. And I can say, like this afternoon, I was visited by the Secretary of the state of Nebraska, and they have partners who are willing to get into irrigation. The Garana is not a very bad project. By the way, Wahiga, the stories, the reservations and politics around that is that Garana Kuraru is actually almost complete. Is 95% complete.
The over 10,000 bags of maize that were promised are being delivered here?
The ideal situation, and I think the future plan, is that once the infrastructure is complete, because they are already growing maize in that area, and I will be visiting, it will be one of my area priorities to visit. You know, I've just taken the office 2 days ago, but the truth of the matter, because I have asked the technical people in the office to give me the whole story, the fact is we'll be commissioning this. It is at 95%. They are just doing winding up. I believe maybe by January or December they should, and there is pressure on them to complete. Where we failed, we will rectify, Wahiga.
He seems like he wants to say something on the same. Go ahead.
Wahiga, let me tell you, I think, and my position is, Galana Kulalo project is a very good project.
Yes.
The only problem that we have is people run very fast in condemning projects before even understanding exactly the dynamics and what the intentions were.
Even reservations by partners who are involved in Galana who said...
You know, you've just given an example of the 10,000 bags. The infrastructure that was required to have in Kulalu so that other people can come in and invest in farming was so great that now, other than people looking at the return on investment, they looked at the cost or the value of the 10,000 bags from the first season and then condemned the project out of the 10,000 bags were bought there. I am telling you, if we are proceed, and I would encourage her to move on with the projects, because when that proper infrastructure is laid and the 1 million acres are put into production, we would have some very good relief in terms of reducing our food deficits that we have in the country. I will not shy away to really root and to really support that project.
Okay,
it is possible, Ahiga, that we shall give it out. You know, we do the infrastructure and give to private developers to come, private farmers to come and do production, because production is not a core business of government. But allow me to just add quickly.
Briefly, because I need one more thought from...
that, you know, we have other big farms like Kano, the traditional or the original farms that you know, Kano, Bura, Ahero, Mwea, Tebere, all these have been lined up for intervention immediately so that we expand, because they have room for expansion. Is just additional infrastructure to maybe double or triple the production.
Yes, Linturi, speaking of intermediate intervention, what are you going to do about the food going to waste in Nyandarua, the hoarding of maize in Trans Nzoia?
Yeah.
What are your teams and you going to do about that?
Yeah, Maura, it is true that 30% of our food is lost after harvest because of our failure to manage the whole process after harvesting. Number one, we are trying to encourage or to teach people on how to manage their food. Where I think the National Cereals and Produce Board, we made sure that there are labs that are to test on aflatoxin. We have made sure that we're increasing the number of mobile dryers so that the food is dried and stored in the right way. Farmers have been encouraged to use these facilities so that we really minimize the losses. But when I was there, I also realized that customer or farmer education has really been lacking. It is important, and we also need to put serious money serious investment in training and education for the farmers to know how it should be done. And I also want to know the farmers that there are other big and dryers that are installed in the bigger NSPNB depots where farmers can really take their food and have it drained to the required moisture levels. We are also trying to encourage the use for maximum gain to farmers, the use of the warehouse receipt system, whereby farmers can easily be able to deposit their food or the agricultural products in these warehouses so that at the end of the day, when they get their receipts, they can be able to use them to get credit or wait until their food is sold at good prices. And I also want to say thank you to the county government of Trans Nzoia, because the deputy governor, when we interacted with her, the county government of Trans Nzoia has built 7, and I want to encourage or invite those other counties to really follow suit and see to build these warehouses so that we can be able to store our food products, because one of the other areas where we lose food is on storage. And as I conclude, I also want to mention that if we were to effectively be able to come up with these warehouses, we will be able also to manage the inflow and the outflow of the various food categories that we have. And for that matter, a county itself, by itself, can be able to establish even its own food and nutritional demands and be able to manage them at certain levels, and hence creating a strategic food reserve for their own particular counties. So that when we have such a problem like we have today, it doesn't have to be its only national government that is doing. So in terms of strategy, I am going to, I'm just waiting for the governors to constitute their own governments so that there are CECs agriculture and livestock, and the governors, I have to have a serious meeting to sit with them and agree on the objective on how to make the country food secure together, because that is the only way we will be able to involve everyone and to ask anyone and to get buy-ins, to bring everyone on board so that we can all work towards ensuring Kenya is food secure.
CSS, I don't have much time if I have any at all, but one question Kenyans keep asking is, how do we contribute? If we have money, if we have goods, is there a structured way that they can contribute tonight, CS Linturi or CS Kwame?
That's a very good question. And I think that's a big challenge to us, because now when we retreat, we will say Kenyans are willing to participate and contribute.
We shall be announcing.
The Red Cross, before we get organized, the Red Cross has been doing a very good job in this country. And anyone that is feels that she has something to put in, I would really ask them to give their support to Kenya, to the Red Cross Society, as we get prepared to continue fundraising.
So you'll be launching something soon, is it?
I think the Office of the President has tasked the Deputy President to coordinate all those activities, and I believe we shall be announcing the points at which we can be able to contribute.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, you've reported to duty smack in the middle of the worst drought in decades, and you've come tonight to let us know a little bit about your immediate interventions from a food and water perspective. There are so many other questions, but in the interest of time, and we know you have had a busy day today and a busy day tomorrow, we'll release you at this time, but we'll call you in subsequent editions to further interrogate this even more. But I'm grateful to have had Alice Wahome, CS Water, Sanitation, Irrigation, joining us on the program today, and CS Mithika Linturi, Agriculture and Livestock. They say this weekend they'll be moving around the country distributing food, but it's not sustainable, and they say there are other initiatives they have lined up as well, and we'll be keeping them honest on that here on the program. All right, we are due for another break, and here is what's coming up.